Choose liquid, safe, high returns, and tax-free. In this episode, we're going to dive deep answering the question, what are the key elements of a prudent investment? This is episode 15 of 21 in a series titled Secrets to a Tax-Free Retirement. I would advise you watch the entire series, invest a few hours. It's a free course, and it will empower you to accumulate an extra $1 million that can generate $100,000 a year of tax-free income for as long as you live. What if you accumulated 2 million, 3 million, 4 million like we have for many people? You take 10% payouts, 4 million could generate 400 grand a year of tax-free income for as long as you live. Stay with me, you're going to be blown away. So my name's Doug Andrew, and I've been helping people optimize their financial assets, minimize taxes, empower their true, authentic wealth for more than 45 years. And I've taught people for a long time the lessons I've learned by making mistakes. And most of the time, when I made a mistake financially, it's because I did not adhere to the key elements of a prudent investment. I am going to give these to you in order, and they actually spell an acronym. Whenever I set aside serious cash, I don't care if it's in real estate, or if it's in insurance companies and different products, or if it's in the market, mutual funds, stocks, or what have you, I ask myself, okay, does it pass the liquidity, safety, rate of return test, and what about the tax benefits? So the number one key element of a prudent investment is liquidity, the ability to access your money when you need it. When people need money the worst, it's the hardest to get sometimes. When it's in a tax-deferred IRA or 401k, there's a 10% penalty. It's not liquid. If you get into trouble and your equity is tied up in your real estate or your house, when you need the money the worst, it's the hardest to get. It does not pass the liquidity test. A lot of times people think liquidity is down the list. No, it's number one reason why people get into financial trouble. So liquidity is number one. Number two is safety. Not only safety of the institution, but safety of your principal. The reason why I like indexed universal life is because my principal is safe. Whatever I set aside, I do not want to lose due to market volatility. And any year that I make money, I want that money I made the previous year to be locked in, to become newly protected principal. I don't want to ever lose in future years the money I made in previous years. That's called lock in and reset. Make sure you watch that episode. So safety of the institution, insurance companies, the entire insurance industry, in my opinion, is the safest repository for serious cash. And that's why many governments use it. Many pensions use it for serious cash. Then you go to rate of return. A lot of people put this up at the top. No, this is third down the list. To earn a predictable rate of return that historically has beaten inflation. I mean, you can't be rowing upstream at the rate of 1, 2, or 3 miles an hour in a bank account when the current of inflation is coming down at 4, 5, 6, or 7. You're going backwards. So you've got to have a rate of return equal or greater than the inflation rate or the cost of the funds, including opportunity cost. Tax benefits are icing on the cake. Tax deferred is okay. I prefer tax free. And I like to have my cake and eat it too. So I like all of the above, but these are listed in order of importance. When you do not do that, people get into trouble. This actually is the title of my book, The Laser Fund. LASER is an acronym that I've used for years that stands for Liquid Assets Safely Earning Returns. So I'm going to share with you why a max-funded indexed universal life insurance policy passes the liquidity, safety, rate of return test, and tax benefits with flying colors far above any other investments that are out there that people are familiar with. So let's apply this laser test to different kinds of investment alternatives. Again, liquidity is number one. It's the ability to access your money when you need it. And I would prefer tax-free without penalties. If we go to safety of principal, you want to preserve what you set aside, and in any year you make money, you want that to become newly protected principal. And the third strength is rate of return, earning a competitive rate of return that historically has beaten inflation. So many times in the various books that I've written, I show this risk-return paradigm because generally, if you want a higher return, you're going to incur higher risks. So I list here 16 general categories of investments, from commodities all the way down to the equity in your house or real estate, from highest risk to lowest risk. Now, whenever I apply the liquidity test, you don't have to actually study this in detail. They're in my books. This many fail the liquidity test. You can't get your money quick enough in an emergency when you need it. Now, if we add the safety test, how many of these will give you safety of principal where you do not lose your principal? This many more do not pass the safety test. Wow. Let's go to the rate of return test. You've got to earn a rate of return equal or greater than the inflation rate or the cost of the funds. This many more fail the rate of return test. My heavens. Out of 16 general categories of investments that Americans put their money into, there's only 3 survivors, okay? Number 10 might be a small handful of mutual funds, not all mutual funds. Sometimes your money in the market is subject to volatility and it's subject to taxes and so forth. But generally speaking, a lot of financial advisors say, oh, you'll be okay. If you earn 12%, you'll net 8% after tax and 7% after fees, and that's still better than the inflation rate or whatever. Hello. Well, that's why only some mutual funds. But these two are offered by the multi-trillion-dollar legal reserve insurance industry, the backbone of America and the backbone of the world. And so it passes the safety test with flying colors based upon all of the different rating agencies. Money inside of these instruments generally is liquid unless you do not structure it correctly or if you lock it up into an annuity. Because right here, number 12 is a maximum funded insurance contract, my favorite vehicle. But number 15 would be an annuity. Now, I will probably never own an annuity, but there are a few annuities that are indexed annuities that can give you a guaranteed income. That if you ran out of money in the annuity at age 85 or age 87, you would not run out of income if you lived to be 120. So some people like that guaranteed income, but where I put my serious cash, where 40 to 60% of my retirement income comes from, is out of number 12. Why? Because it passes the liquidity, safety, and rate of return test with flying colors, but it's the only one that allows me to accumulate my money totally tax-free. I can access my money tax-free. I can't do that out of an annuity. And an annuity is tax deferred and it blossoms and transfers tax-free. Annuities don't increase in value. A few might have a little bit of a death benefit, but if I died tomorrow in an accident, every million in my insurance contract would blossom to $2.5 million and transfer income tax-free. There's not an annuity around or a Roth IRA that will do that. And so this is why it's my favorite vehicle, because it passes the liquidity, safety, and rate of return tests, and it's tax-free to boot. So let me show you a rating system you can use to rate any investment based upon these key elements of a prudent investment. So I call a max-funded, tax-advantaged, indexed universal life insurance policy a laser fund, because laser stands for liquid assets, safely earning returns. It's the acronym of liquidity, safety, rate of return, tax-free. And so in my most recent best-selling book, The Laser Fund, I have 4 pillars on the cover: liquidity, safety, return, and tax benefits. Each of these pillars are under a scoring system, a scorecard. This is explained at the front of the book, and also as you go through and study the book, it rates other types of investments based upon these same key elements of a prudent investment. Now, why is a max-funded insurance contract my favorite vehicle? Because most places where people put money in the market, in mutual funds, or even in an annuity, it may pass the safety test in an annuity because it's in an insurance company. But the rate of return may not be that great, not near as great as the same money in the same insurance company in an insurance policy. What? Most people say, well, wait a minute, there's a cost with the life insurance and there isn't with the annuity. No. Most people are shocked when I show them that an indexed universal life insurance policy will outperform an indexed annuity with the same insurance company almost all day long when you structure it correctly and fund it properly. I can earn 11 and net 10 with an insurance contract with XYZ Insurance Company, and I may only net 6 or 7% in the annuity in that same insurance company. People don't understand that. It's because of the way you're able to structure it. And so maybe some investments may rank higher on safety, maybe some on liquidity, but sometimes you lock up your money in an annuity for 10 or 15 years. Now, some people say, well, the insurance contract isn't liquid. Actually, you have the ability to access money. I can throw in $300,000, and if 4 days later I need to access $250,000 of the $300,000 I just put in there, I can do that. You can't do that with a Roth. Okay, you can't do that with an annuity, so you do have liquidity based upon the money that is liquid and accessible inside the insurance contract, especially when you're max funding it. As far as tax benefits, my heavens, in the insurance policy, bar none, blows the others out of the water. It's the only vehicle in the Internal Revenue Code that allows you to accumulate, access, and transfer your money totally income tax free. At best, an annuity is only tax deferred. An IRA or 401k is only tax deferred. You fund it with pre-tax dollars, but then you have to pay tax on it when you take it out. A Roth only has two benefits. You take after-tax contributions, and it accumulates tax-free, and you can access your money tax-free. You can do that inside of an IUL policy, but you have 4 additional benefits. I can throw in huge lump sums like $200,000 or $300,000 if I design it to accommodate that. You can't put that much into a Roth. And not only that, but I can pull out money without IRS penalties or needing permission. And so I can access the money. If I can put in $300,000 and I only put in $30,000, I can make up for the other $270,000 anytime I want. If you don't put in the amount you're allotted into a Roth, you can't make up for that in future years. But I can use indexing with a laser fund and participate with the market when it goes up without my money at risk in the market. And when I die, my laser fund, if I died right now, every million would blossom to 2.5 million. Nothing else does that. So it knocks the socks off of any other investment over here. As far as rate of return, I have averaged 8 to 10% rates of return. Some years I've made 25%, sometimes with performance factors or multipliers as high as 55%. But if I've averaged about 11.17 and netted 10.07 on a tax-free basis, that would be like earning 15 or 16% in a tax-deferred IRA or 401k, and then you pull out the money and you have to pay a third of it back in taxes. You'd have to earn 15 or 16 to net 10. I only have to earn 11 in the insurance policy to net 10. So the bottom line is this. Most investments that people put their money into, when you go through and you put it in here, in the book, we have the scoring system on a scale of 1 to 10. Most might score high in 1 or 2 categories, but not in all 4. Most investments only score out of a possible 40. You have 10 possible in each of those 4 key elements. The reason why I like the laser fund is because it's the only one that scores over 30, and most of the time it scores 35 out of 40 possible on the laser scoring system. So that's why it's my favorite vehicle for the key elements of liquidity, safety, predictable rates of return, and it's totally tax-free. So this is episode 15 of 21, Secrets to a Tax-Free Retirement. I would advise that you watch this next episode to understand more about how this can empower you. But if you like to read and learn, I would love to gift you a free copy of the Laser Fund book, over 300 pages of information and a lot of client stories and examples in here. I'll pay for the book. Claim your free book by going to laserfund.com. Laserfund.com. Just pay $5.95 shipping and handling. I'll buy the book. You invest in your brighter future by reading, learning, listening, watching, and this is the way that you can have a brighter future and not outlive your money.